What else was a part of our foundation, you would say?
Um, I mean, I just make one more note about the kissing thing.
Right.
Well, because I had mentioned earlier, like, oh, so what do you do if you feel like you're being tempted by that? Like, oh man, like, we decided not to kiss, but, I like really want to kiss her. Like, oh my gosh. I'm like, well, understandably, like, you're dating this person, they're attractive to you, but just realizing that, is it worth all that you're trying to do in that moment to satisfy that desire now? Is it worth the future that you have together? Because at the end of the day, you decided not to kiss. I'm thinking that hopefully that's something that you've committed to God. Like you're being led by the Holy Spirit in that decision because He's asked you to do that. And for you to then turn around and like go after the desires of your flesh, like, oh, like I'm gonna get this moment now. Well, then one, it makes it a lot harder to not do it in the future, and two, you're going back on something that you promised to God, and that's a very serious thing. We can't take that lightly. So keep that in mind. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Maybe nice now, but may not be so nice later. You're gonna have to deal with it later. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, like, honestly, like, those thoughts always start up here. So I think a lot of times, like, for me, when the thought came, I was like, oh no, I don't want to kiss him. We set up a boundary, nah. But at the same time, like, it helped to come to a realization of being honest with myself and being honest with God. And then after being honest and saying, yes, I do, but then it's like, with my conversation with God, but I don't want to right now. Like, seriously, I don't really want to right now. I can wait. Mm-hmm. It's okay. So, just being honest with yourself, and just being, like, honest with your boyfriend or girlfriend. Because if you guys did it together, you're both probably, like, struggling together, but at different times. But sometimes you don't need to be like, I want to kiss you right now. No. I've had the desire to kiss you. Maybe it'll be a great moment for you guys to take that to God together and pray about it. Because, like, I'm trying to get biblical on you guys. 2 Corinthians and 12, it talks about in our weaknesses we find our strength in Him and not in each other or in ourselves, but we take it to God. So, yes.
Yep, and don't put yourself in no situation either. Well, before I say that, prayer is very helpful. We spend a lot of time praying about that particular thing in the beginning of our relationship. And it may seem like, oh man, that's weird. Like, oh, ooh, like prayer. Like, no, like it's serious. Like, you think it's a game, but it's not. We really did spend a lot of time praying both individually and together about that specific thing that we would not have those desires because we knew that what we were trying to accomplish here, that we did want to set an example and really just not have that. We wanted to continue to focus on God. Yes, like we're courting, but we didn't want to then turn focus on what we were doing before, which was we were focused on God, and then turn the focus toward each other. We wanted to keep that focus on God throughout what we were doing. So really praying about it really has helped us, even to the point where we can say like, oh, like we don't really have those desires. And some people are like, what do you mean? Like you don't desire to kiss your girlfriend? To be honest, not really as much as you would think. Like, because I just spent a lot of time praying about it. I spent a lot of time focusing on God. So I'm not focused on her in that aspect. So it's not something that I'm looking to do all the time. Yeah, I was just say it like that. But what I was gonna say before, not putting yourself in that situation. If you've done it before, then it may be harder not to continue doing it. So then you really want to be cautious about what type of situations you're putting yourself in. And it looks different for everybody. It's really something you got to be honest with yourself with. Like for some people, they can't ride together in a car at any time.
By themselves.
Yeah, especially by themselves. I mean, the backseat can quickly turn from a car ride to a couch, like in a couple seconds. And you're gonna roll out that car trying to figure out like how did this happen, and you just want to avoid dancing around those situations altogether. Like, you be honest with yourself, your relationship. You may look at another couple like, oh man, like they be chilling out late all the time. Well, that's them. You don't know. They may also be praying together all the time, and they may not have those desires. But you may not be praying about those things. You may have those desires, and you may fall into that trap by trying to do what they're doing. So you need to understand what is best for your relationship and what God is directing you to do in your relationship. Don't worry about those other people. Like, they're gonna do what they do. They may or may not be obeying what God's telling them to do, but don't allow them to be a stumbling block for you, please.
Yeah.
Please do not do it.
And it could help to have somebody to be accountable to. Like, somebody who's really, like, gonna keep you in your original desire of not kissing or not being intimate with that other person, who's not going to really feed into, I guess, things your flesh is telling you, but really just keeping you focused. It may be somebody older, or it could be just one of your best friends who is like serious about you, like getting your desire accomplished. So yeah. So yes, prayer was very important. I found it very important for us to pray because it kind of surrendered our hangouts, our fellowships.
It set the tone, really.
It really does. And I love it because I feel like at one point we did fall off, and I found myself like getting annoyed or like...
Fall off on prayer, that is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, right. We fell off on praying at the beginning of our dates, and I just found myself annoyed, and sometimes I feel like sometimes we got like more distant, or like we were like, I don't know, we weren't connecting. Does that make sense?
I believe so.
Yeah, I was like, we weren't connecting
as
much, but it really sets the tone for God to, because He is the one who originated our relationship, as we believe. He's also the one who's going to continue it.
It's almost like
putting it in His hands.
It's like inviting Him on a date with you
all the time.
Like, it's like you two in the car, you go into the movies. When you pray before you go to the movie, you're like, hey God, like, we want you to enter into this place with us and take control of this atmosphere that we're in.
Yeah. So let the laughter begin and let the good times. Yeah, the joking, that we get favor.
Pray for what you want to happen. Hey guys, this is one of our many videos on laying the foundation.
Look forward to more videos on these topics and many more. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. See you next time.
See you next time.